3 on page 141 in your math workbook, lesson 3. We're going to continue working with remainders today, but we want to be able to describe a remainder and how it can be used. So that's what we're focusing on for today. So how can we solve a division problem and then interpret the remainder in the context? So how is it being used in the problem? So let's look at Spark Your Learning. Aiden is building solar toy cars in his science club. The cars collect and use energy from the sun for power. Aiden buys 18 wheels. Each car needs 4 wheels. How many cars can Aiden build? So let's show our thinking. Let's continue to use arrays just like we did yesterday. But this time I think we're going to focus on columns. We're just going to make them columns. You can do rows too, it doesn't matter. But we know he needs 4 wheels for each car. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's his first car that he can build. 5, 6, 7, 8. There's his second car that he can build. 8, yeah. 9, 10, 11, 12. There's his third car. Remember we have 18 wheels. 13, 14, 15, 16. There's his fourth car. 17, 18. Okay, so looking at our picture, let's answer our question first. How many cars can Aiden build? He can build 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. He can build 4 cars. But now, what is the remainder in this problem? What does that remainder mean? That's what we're looking at today, is we know what the remainders are. We can identify them, but what is it and what does it tell us? What does it mean? So if we look at the remainder in this problem, we can see that Aiden can make 4 cars, but that there are 2 wheels left over. So what that tells us is that he doesn't have enough to make another car. So you need to be able to identify the remainder in the problem, but also tell what it tells us. What does that remainder tell us? Can we have more cars? Can we not have more cars? So let's continue to interpret remainders, and let's go to page 142 in your math workbook. So page 142. Okay, we're going to build understanding. So let's just kind of continue with where we're going in today's lesson. There are 57 students going to the Science Museum. Each van can take 5 students. How many vans are needed to take all the students? Use a visual model to show how the students are divided into groups of 5. Again, remember, we're working with equal groups here. You always got to keep that in the back of your mind. So let's just start drawing. So we have 57 total students, and each van can only hold 5. So let's just start. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a van. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's another van. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Just going to keep going. Every 5 I'm going to circle. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Remember, we have 57 students. So then this would be 30, counting by 5s. Then 35. 40. 45. 50. So if we go back, make sure we have it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So we can keep going. Then we have 55. Okay, here's where we need to go back and we need to look at our total number. We have 57. So if I draw another group of 5, I have 55. That's going to give me 60. Well, I only have 57 students, so I know that I cannot draw another group of 5. So if I stopped at 55, I'm just going to draw my remainder. 56, 57. All right, now let's answer the questions using our model. For 57 divided by 5, the whole number quotient, remember the word quotient is the answer. So for 57 divided by 5, the whole number quotient is, let's count how many groups we made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 groups. And the remainder is, how many we have left over? 2. Or we could write that as 11 R 2. So what does the whole number quotient mean in this problem? So the whole number, without anything left over, the whole number is 11. So what that tells us is that 11 vans will have 5 students. So 11 vans will have 5 students. All right, C, what does the remainder mean in this problem? So after 11 vans are full, 2 students are not in a van. So 2 students could not get in a van. How can we use the whole number quotient and the remainder to solve this problem? All right, so we can look at this and we can say, well, in order to get all the students to the Science Museum, I'm going to have a whole nother van. So I could add a 1, so I could say 11 vans and add 1 more van, because we still are going to have 1 more van to take those 2 students. So how many vans would I need? 12 are going to be needed. So this part right here, letter D, this is where we're interpreting the remainder to help us solve this problem. So let's continue on page 143 and let's try it again a different way. Amanda has 73 inches of wire for a science experiment. She needs to cut all the wire into 8 identical pieces. How many inches long will each piece be? So let's draw an array to show 73 divided into 8 equal groups. So first I'm going to make my 8 rows. This is going to be a big picture here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to divide up 73. And so when we're finished, so when you're finished, you should have 8 rows with 8 in each. I'm going to make this a real quick picture, but you get the idea. We've done arrays several times before, so you kind of get the idea of making these equal groups using the arrays. And I'm going to have 1 left over. So let's look at B. For 73 divided by 8, the whole number quotient, the whole number answer is, let's see how many rows we made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I think I might have missed one. I did. Got to add 1 more. Sorry about that. Okay, so we made 9 rows. Excuse me, that was all my mistake. I apologize. But we can have 9 rows with 8 in each. So we have 9, and then our remainder. How many do we have left over that can't go into equal groups? We have 1. So the remainder represents the amount of wire left over. Divide that amount into 8 equal groups and write the result as a fraction of a whole inch. Now this is important. When we're dealing with measurements, where you're measuring in inches and centimeters, you may sometimes need to express the remainder as a fraction. This is important because it can give you a more precise measurement than just using the whole number itself or the whole unit. So we're going to practice this with fractions. Now this is tricky, so just try your best with part C. Don't stress out about it. We're going to revisit fractions again later. but let's just follow it. So we're going to use information they give us. So what's our whole number quotient that we wrote in part B? The whole number quotient is 9. That's going to go in the first box. What was our remainder? 1. And what if we divide each of our wires into 8? So that's how we write our fraction. So each piece of wire will be 9 and 1/8 inches long. Okay, so I want you to try the check understanding, and you'll notice this gray box on your Google Classroom. You're going to find a document that you can print off, and you can put that into your notebook. You can cut and paste it into your math notebook, or you can just simply write that chart down in your math notebook, but make sure you keep that. It's important information. 4 ways to interpret a remainder. So try check understanding on your own. All right, at this point, if you have turned the video back on, that means you've done the check understanding on your own. Don't forget about the chart. Make sure you put this information into your math notebook. You can print it off the Google Classroom, or you can simply just add it. You can write it into the notebook for yourself. Maya needs 44 batteries for smoke alarms. The batteries come in packs of 6. How many packs does Maya need to buy? So we need to create an array. So you can go somewhere on your paper, on your whiteboard, on a piece of notebook paper, and you're going to draw your array. And when you do, for 44 divided by 6, the whole number quotient is going to be 7, and the remainder is 2. So Maya needs to buy, well, we know she needs 7 packs, but she's got to continue to use those other 2. So we're going to add an extra pack. So we're going to add a 1 to the 7. So we need 8 packs of batteries in order to fill her smoke alarms, because she's still going to have to fill up that other smoke alarm. So now it wants us to circle how we interpreted the remainder to solve the problem. So which one of those 4 ways did we just use? So I had 7 as my whole number quotient, but I know that I needed another pack, so I added 1. So we're using number 3 to interpret this problem. We're using number 3 to interpret the problem. Alright guys, I know this may have been confusing for you today, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in Google Classroom or shoot me an email and we can talk about these. We're going to be working more with fractions, so don't get too stressed out about the fractions. We'll be working more with those later on in the school year. Don't forget to fill out your math exit ticket.